Live from downtown Bakersfield, 23 ABC News starts now.
We're following breaking news this morning, a deadly shooting out of Wasco. We have the latest on the investigation.
Plus, the governor declaring a state of emergency in the midst of all these devastating wildfires. We'll have more on that proclamation.
Plus, those wildfires burning on both ends of the state. We have more on the containment efforts that are taking place this morning. Good morning and thanks for joining us for 23 ABC News at 6 a.m. on this Monday morning. I'm Danielle Kernkamp.
I'm Mike Hart. Glad you're here. Let's bring in Imani Stevens. She's sitting in for Elena Russ this morning with a look at what we can expect today. Yeah, some scary stuff going on all over the state.
Yeah, luckily for us, it's dry today, but there is a red flag warning that's in effect in the mountain areas. So we're going to be tracking that and be aware of that. And that's in effect until 6 p.m. tonight. So that may cause critical fire weather. They recommend that you do not do any outdoor burning because if that spreads, it can spread pretty rapidly for a fire. Gusty winds, though, possibility of blowing dust and haze, but there's a cold front moving in on Tuesday, and that elevates our fire weather conditions. But right now, we're sitting at 44 in Bakersfield, 47 in Keene, 36 in Tehachapi, Pine Mountain Club, you're at 39. So we're seeing cool but moderate temperatures today, and we're going to be tracking that red flag warning and those gusty winds. Taking a look at your traffic, there are no major incidents to report. Just be aware that there is construction going along the 99, and traffic may move just a little bit slower on your Monday commute.
Well, we continue to follow breaking news out of Wasco at this hour. The Sheriff's Department on scene of a deadly shooting from early this morning.
Let's go live to 23 ABC's Scott Sheehan, who is at the scene with the very latest this morning. Scott?
So Mike, Danielle, I'm over here at the Highway 46 and E Street where the sheriff deputies are investigating a deadly shooting where one man is dead behind me from this morning. I'm going to step out of the way a little bit so you can see this scene behind me. There's about a dozen sheriff deputy officers out here investigating this. What they said is around 1:50 this morning, they got an anonymous call saying that there was a shot fired. And when they showed up over here to the bar called North 40 Bar right next to this Amigo Meat Market, that's where they found one man dead from one single gunshot wound, and they're currently investigating what led up to that shooting and that altercation that left one man dead. Now, as we're on this side of the Amigos Meat Market, what the primary part of the investigation is on the other side, which is right next to the North 40 Bar. That's where the man is still in that little alleyway, and we're seeing there's still a bunch more pictures being taken. The coroner's office is out here, and they're trying to look for surveillance video to see what led up to this shooting. Now, I've also seen some of the deputies talk with a potential witness and potential family members here at the scene, so they're still trying to get more information, and they said they're going to be out here for a couple more hours still investigating. And right now, during this investigation, there aren't any road closures to be aware of, and when we get more information, more updates from the Kern County Sheriff's Office, we'll update you. Over here in Wasco, Scott Sheehan, 23 ABC, connecting you.
Thanks, Scott. Now to a live look at a fire that erupted early this morning along the 405 freeway. This is near the Getty Center. The Los Angeles Fire Department says what started out as a 50-acre fire has now grown to more than 400 acres.
Fire officials say it started on a hillside at about 1:30 in the morning close to the southbound side of the 5. At the 405 at Getty Center Drive. Mandatory evacuations have been issued for about 3,300 homes in the area. Crews are saying that at least 2 homes have sustained damage. We're not sure how extensive. They also say the Getty Center is not being threatened, not right now. The 405 is open for the moment to allow evacuees to get out of the area. We'll keep you updated as new information comes into our newsroom.
And those early morning evacuation orders are impacting thousands in the area, including Lakers superstar LeBron James. He posted on Twitter saying, "Man, these LA fires aren't a joke. Had to emergency evacuate my house, and I've been driving around with my family trying to get rooms. No luck so far. Thankfully, they did eventually find a place to stay." He'd offered up prayers for families in the area that could be affected by these fires, and thanking and sending best wishes to first responders doing what they do best, he says.
Meantime, Governor Gavin Newsom has declared a state of emergency across California in response to those high winds that sparked or are spreading the wildfires and have prompted those mass evacuations. The governor's proclamation read in part, quote, "Fire weather conditions are unprecedented due to the scale, scope, wind speed, and dry fuel conditions." 2 vegetation fires broke out in the city of Vallejo in the San Francisco Bay Area Sunday. Meantime, the Kincaid fire has now burned more than 50,000 acres in Sonoma County, prompting the evacuation of nearly 200,000 people, threatening tens of thousands of buildings. And the Tick fire south of us, currently burning more than 4,600 acres, but it is 60% contained. With more on those fires, here's ABC's Kaylee Hartung.
This morning, fighting the fires across California.
This is just one small, tiny portion of this fire.
In Sonoma County, the Kincade Fire has exploded to at least 55,000 acres as flames spread in hurricane-force winds. More than 180,000 people have been evacuated, and the fire has destroyed nearly 100 buildings, including this winery, which opened in 1869. Reporter Cornell Barnard with our San Francisco station got a look at the damage.
This is completely gone. Tons of corrugated metal here. This is the facade of the winery. Pretty much all that is left, brick facade that says Soda Rock in front of it.
Many Santa Rosa residents and their pets are taking shelter at the Sonoma County Fairgrounds.
To think of it coming through Healdsburg and Windsor and into Santa Rosa, that's a little like overwhelming and scary, you know, that it could be that big. You don't want it to be that big.
Officials say their biggest concern is the Kincade Fire jumping the 101 freeway, igniting an area that hasn't burned in nearly 80 years.
If anything does start on the opposite side of 101, the west side, that area hasn't seen any fire history since the 1940s. So the fuels in that area are extremely dense, they're extremely old and decadent, and they're extremely dry.
And now, the state's power companies are warning of a third round of preventative blackouts, saying 500,000 customers could lose power this week to prevent more fires from sparking.
And as those fires continue to scorch the state, Pacific Gas and Electric Company officials are expected to issue an all clear for safety inspections and restoration work for the power safety shutoffs in some areas, but it might not last very long. According to the SoCal Edison website, this morning over 20,000 Kern County customers are under threat of losing power due to these shutoffs. Those customers include residents in Tehachapi and unincorporated areas of Kern County like Bear Valley Springs, Kernville, and Tejon Ranch, among a dozen other locations. Right now, there's no estimated time of when these customers could lose power if SCE moves forward with the shutoffs. And according to Kern County PG&E officials, power shutoffs were expected to begin locally around 9 p.m. last night. So far, there have not been any shutoffs reported to the website, but we will continue to monitor this throughout today. The Kern shutoffs are expected to impact 636 customers, according to PG&E. Statewide, these shutoffs are expected to impact over 500,000 customers across the span of 35 counties. PG&E expects an all clear today, but says forecasts of more dry, windy weather could mean more shutoffs this week.
California Congresswoman Katie Hill is stepping down after allegations of inappropriate sexual relationships with staffers. She wrote in a statement on her Twitter saying, "This is the hardest thing I have ever had to do, but I believe it is the best thing for my constituents, my community, and for our country." Hill, who is the first openly bisexual member of Congress, admits to having a consensual relationship with a member of her campaign staff. But the House Ethics Committee is investigating whether Hill had a sexual relationship with a member of her congressional staff, which would be a violation of House rules.
In other news, the average price of gas in the U.S. is dropping, but here in Bakersfield, some bad news for drivers this morning. According to GasBuddy.com, local prices are on the rise. The average price of gas in the U.S. has dropped about 4 cents per gallon in the past 2 weeks to an average of $2.68. Here at home, the latest average price of gas in Bakersfield is a little more than $4 a gallon. Local prices are also up nearly 30 cents from a month ago. And if you're heading to fill up this morning, Gas Buddy's reporting the lowest price of gas in Bakersfield is $3.63. You can find that at either the Varsity Station at 2023 Baker Street or the On the Go food store at 2501 River Boulevard. If you happen to be out in Buttonwillow, you'll find it a little bit cheaper. They're reporting the lowest price of $3.33 at the Sinclair and Shell stations on Tracy Avenue. For a map of local prices, you can head to our website, turnto23.com.
Today, we recognize the heroic men and women who make it their business to take immediate action when disaster strikes. It is National First Responders Day. And in honor of that, one local restaurant's inviting those first responders to come out, have lunch on them. Wicky's Wine Dive and Grill on Ming Avenue offering a free sack lunch for first responders from 11 to 2. That lunch includes a Wicky's classic burger, chips, cookie, fruit, and a drink. A drive-through will be open for any on-duty personnel in their emergency vehicles to slide up and get lunch. If you're off duty, They say come and enjoy lunch on their patio. All right, let's bring in Amani once again in for Elena, taking a look outside.
Yeah, right now air quality today is in the moderate range. We're going to be at 72 for our AQI, which is good news. So you can the fresher air, but the fire south of us and north of us may bring on some of that haze, so it may not be that great outside. But taking a look at county forecast, Bakersfield area, our high for Bakersfield today is 71 with a low of 44. Down at the Grapevine, you have a high of 66 with a low of 41, and out in Taft, a high of 70 with a low of 50. So temperatures are pretty moderate, but they're going to get a little bit cooler as we bring out toward the end of October and the beginning of November. For the mountain areas, high of 57 in Fraser Park, a low of 32. Pine Mountain Club, a high of 57 with a low of 34. And in our desert areas, which will see the coolest temperatures toward the end of the week, Rosamond, a high of 64 for today, a low of 34. Mojave, a high of 61 with a low of 41. And I'll have that 7-day forecast coming up.
Die-hard fans know that Kevin Harvick is still in the chase for the Monster Energy Series championship, but it's going to take a little work. Happy currently 5th in the point standings with only the top 4 drivers getting a shot at the title in Miami on November 16th. It was a wild weekend in Martinsville. Some contenders dealt a serious blow with all these accidents. Harvick managed to avoid the major entanglements, finished 7th. Martin Truex Jr. won the race. He gets the automatic pass to the championship race, but tempers afterwards were hot. Yeah, so you ask, why is Harvick still looking good? Well, first of all, the good old boys are at the Texas Motor Speedway next week, this Saturday. It's where Harvick has finished in the top 5 4 times in the last 5 years. After that, they go to Phoenix, where Harvick has a Cup record 9 victories. Best of luck. Everybody calm down.